It's time for conversations. Who? What? How? Why?
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
What will be today's conversation? Understanding viewpoints, educating, and stimulating discussions. It's time to connect to T-Horne, your host. It's time for conversations.
Hey everybody, it's been a minute. It has been a good minute, but I am back from my month hiatus. I had to take me a little break, but we are back with conversations with T-Horne the Uncool, with yours truly, T-Horne the Uncool. So what are we talking about today? I've been taking time over this little break to go over, what's been going on in the world, what's been going on with our nation, what's going on with our community, because I feel like, these things are important to talk about, because if we don't talk about them, we can't solve any issues and we can't, eliminate any problems. So today, the topic is state of emergency. Now, what do I mean by state of emergency? The nation is so divided when it comes to one thing. Well, a lot of things, but we'll talk about one thing today. And that is the presidential candidacy, voting, politics, all that stuff just divides our nation in so many different ways and so many different directions. When it comes to race, when it comes to culture, when it comes to whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. And today, with everything that's going on, I just want to take time to be able to talk about it. So I got some guests on my panel today who come from different walks of life and can give different views and aspects of where they see things going to political parties, and just give their viewpoint of, and their opinions about how things are going and what we can do to bring unity to the division that's already spread out across the US of A. So real quick, I'm gonna bring my guests up on the screen. If you could come on, please. Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up?
All right. So before we get started, real quick, I want to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves and also tell about why you are important in this conversation. We are gentlemen here on Conversations with T-Horne the Uncool. So we want to start with Miss Ashley Aaron first. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself, ma'am, and tell us a little about yourself.
I am a teacher, and I don't identify with either party.
Gotcha. John, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell how you can be a benefit to this conversation.
My name is John Alexander. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have opinions about a few things going on in the world, but I like to hear everybody else's perspective as well.
Okay, cool. And last but not least, let's introduce Caliph, not Khalif. We got a lot of people who mix up his Caliph Brown. You guys can, Caliph, you can tell us about how you could be a benefit to this conversation and who you are.
Yeah, my name is Caliph Brown. I also am a teacher, but an active historian. I think about history as well as world history.
Okay, real quick, Caleb, as you check your mic to make sure we hear you, because you're kind of going in and out, so just make sure that your mic is set up or your sound set so we can hear you properly, okay?
Sure.
And you can usually, if you do me a favor, give your spill one more time. I don't think our viewers were able to hear what you were saying. Go ahead, boss man.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
My name is Caliph Brown. I am a teacher also, and an active historian. I actively care about our nation's history. I've worked at the Historical Society in St. Augustine, and I am a registered Republican here in the state of Florida.
Gotcha. Good stuff. So before we start our conversation, I'm going to go ahead and put the conversation starters on the screen so the viewers know where we're coming from or what we're talking about. Our first conversation starter is, where does everyone think we stand as a country today and why? Number 2 is going to be what benefits and negatives do you think that each presidential candidate brings and why? That's going to be a good one. The third one everybody wants to talk about views on the recent assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Number 4 is going to be the views on Project 2025. And number 5 is going to be how are politics affecting our communities today? So with that, let's get started with the first one. Where does everyone think we stand as a country today and why? So just so you guys know, I'm going to be asking some questions, but I want you guys to take charge of the conversation. I'm going to get my input and stuff like that, but I'm going to give you guys the chance to give your opinions and stuff, okay? So does anybody want to start with where they think the country stands today and why?
I can start if you guys
Go
want.
ahead.
I mean, I feel like we're struggling. I hate going out in the public, whether I'm pumping gas, getting groceries, and I'm just trying to lift people up. I'm be like, hey man, how you doing? Like, just trying to lift people up because you can just see that people are down.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So,
anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're at a very interesting crossroads in American history right now with a divide socially in our nation. But I think what we forget that this isn't new to our nation's history. We have to be very mindful that we've gone through a multitude of issues in the great nation court history. And even though people are struggling actively, we have to be mindful of our history and understand that at the end of the day, we are Americans, and this is the time to unite and come together as one, because that's something that we've always been able to do, even though we've had numerous conflicts that our nation's history.
That's true. What about you, John?
I agree. I mean, it's just a weird state right now. It's nothing we haven't been through before. It's just some dangerous times going on. A lot of weird laws coming into effect. We kind of don't know where we're going to stand financially. We don't know what next year's groceries are going to cost us. It's going up just like any other year, but it's just the rate that it's been going up the past couple of years has been crazy. I just like to see how the landscape looks. A lot of people are making money right now in stocks. So I think it's going to be like a massive change of wealth. It's going to be a lot of people already are making money, but it's going to be more young millionaires. And I think that's just going to make it a little harder in the world because things are going to still cost more. It's going to keep going up. I think the divide between poor people and rich people is just going to get bigger.
I totally agree.
The main thing I think I'm hearing, and I agree with you guys 100%. The main thing I'm hearing is struggle and division. And I think we all can agree on that, from inflation, raising of gas prices to, the conversations about benefits to veterans and stuff they're going through, to, the debates and battles with race and culture and religion. It's like, and I think Caleb could back me up on this, because as we've gone through history, it's like we've taken so many steps up to, change certain things and bring equality to the nation. But it's like the more equality we get, the more division it brings. And it's like it's weird because you got the Black Lives Matter stuff, then you got the stuff with the gender identity stuff, and then everybody's with the family of religion, and you got the police brutality. This is a lot of stuff going on, and it to me personally. Now let me say this before I go into any comments. Everything I say is strictly based off how I feel. I'm not saying that I feel is a fact. This is strictly my opinion and my personal feelings. So don't take anything I say like, oh, boom, that is a fact. Thank you. Definitely needed that at the bottom.
I was going to say, like, more awareness brings more division.
It seems like that, but I mean, I want to say awareness. I mean,
well, I'm just saying, when you're saying, like, if we start talking about gender identity
Mhm.
or all the things, and then you're talking about, then we have this division. The way that you just like worded it.
Well, it's like this. If I can speak, it's we're the land of the free, right? The land of freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and all this stuff. But it's like the more freedom we get, the more divided we get, and it's crazy because we have that freedom. It's like, why can't, as a nation, we just regulate our choices and regulate our freedom and just respect the fact, like, hey, this person thinks differently, or this person is a different color, this person is a different religion, and that's okay. Why can't it just be okay? We all preach about, like, okay, our forefathers want to be land free, but then when people are free, then other people who don't agree with that freedom have a problem with you being free. You know what I'm saying? That's a big contradiction to what the country is supposed to stand for, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I might be rambling. That makes sense to you guys?
I get it.
I see the think tank going over there. You got something to say?
I mean, I just think at the end of the day, we have to just be mindful of what we mean by the term free. I think that's always on the mind. We did associate freedom. Yet we have the most laws per any major first world nation in the world. And so how are we allowing people to practice their inherent freedoms while restricting it with every little tick-tack law that you could possibly think of that restricts our individual rights as a whole? So I think we have to just first define what we mean by what freedom widely means, and the association that it also has on the restrictions that are in this country as a whole. And I think you and I and will know there's a law for about anything, and you interact with it in everyday life, and it's very difficult to maneuver in just our functions. I read an interesting fact several weeks ago that the average person commits at least one felony a day without. How is that? So I think that I love my country. I do, but I think that we have gotten into a very freedom that that we hold near and dear. Far cry from what our founding fathers wanted, and I think that we have to be mindful.
Gotcha. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm born and raised as an American. Well, let me speak from this standpoint. I am American, but I am a Black American. I'm an African American. Let's put it like plainly what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just speaking from my standpoint of what I face every day. It's why I'm talking about why, if we're a nation that's supposed to be about unity, why, as a Black man or a Black individual, why should I face so much? I don't know. I guess the word I want to use is indifference. But I'm not just talking about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking from my standpoint, because whatever race you are, whatever religion you are, whatever idea you have, whatever sex that you identify as, you face some kind of struggle. And if we're a country that's supposed to be all about, coming together and stuff like that and everything, my biggest issue is, why do we face the struggles? Why does a Black man have to drive, can't drive down the street without the fear of getting pulled over? And he's the only Black people, the only people that's thinking like, hey, if I get pulled over, I might get killed today. You know what I'm saying? Why is it a white man has to, feel like, everybody's against him because of, slavery and this and that and everything? Why does someone of Spanish descent gotta, go through this whole thing of, being characterized like, oh, the only thing you can do is build a house? Why is it that, you can't be gay or transgender and live your life freely without somebody coming out and calling you the F word or looking at you strange and this and that? Why can't you be anything in this country that's outside of Christianity, and your judge thinking, it's just too much negativity? It's like, what the heck is going on? Like, the principles the country is built off of aren't really being followed. that's my biggest issue with the state of the country today. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else want to give me any insight on that? Or am I just the only one who feels that way?
I agree. I mean, shoot, when I was young in kindergarten, we were taught the golden rule. And the golden rule is to treat and do unto others as you want them to do unto you. So, I mean, a lot of us have lost that. We go around calling people names, this is that and the third, but you don't want nobody doing that to you. It's just negativity is going to be everywhere you go, whatever country you go to, and it's never going to be perfect. But like my man said, there's a law for everything, and like you said, they're making all these new laws. Well, they've made all these new laws to give gay rights and things like that, and unfortunately, that's not part of that's not part of the everyday norm for us as our country. Maybe you go to France and Paris and stuff, that's all cool there, but like here in America, that wasn't the way. Like particularly here, it wasn't really worldwide accepted. In our nation, it was kind of something that was shunned upon until, people started fighting for rights. And I get it. But, unfortunately, you got people that's still stuck in their ways. Same thing with the segregation with civil rights and stuff. It's still people stuck in their ways. So until this country phases out of, our ancestors are still alive. There's people still here that was alive during slavery, alive during segregation, alive during a lot of these dramatic events. So as the years go along, I won't say we won't forget, but I think the tension should go down some. I think less people will really care about, who's who and what you are.
So I'll pose this question. And after this question, we can move on to the next topic. But I'll see what everybody thinks. And this is the question that came top of my head. Do you guys think that the state of the country, because you got to think, when these laws were put in place and the Constitution was written and this and that and everything, there was a certain status quo of how the country was at that time. But as the years have gone by, the country has changed so much. And do you guys think, because when I say the country's changed so much, blacks were in slavery, dealing with segregation, now they're not. There's equality. We have the whole thing with the LGBT community. We have the whole thing of immigration and people come from other countries, come to America getting citizenship, stuff like that. When these laws, and Caleb, check me if I'm saying anything wrong, were put in place, the country is in a certain place at a certain time. But so many changes have happened over the years. Do you guys think that has a certain effect on the rules, on the laws put in place, on how they thought when the certain laws were put in place back in the day, that they weren't taking these things into consideration, and the country is trying to adapt this stuff? But how can I say this? Basically, what I'm saying is this: laws were put in place, right? Constitution, all that stuff, amendments, all that stuff was written and stuff like that. Science sealed, delivered. But do you guys think that these changes that have happened over the years were thought about when these laws and stuff were put into place?
I don't.
Because we talk about all that stuff, and then when things are changed in our country, it's like, okay, I look at it like this. Like, okay, now blacks are out of slavery, so now we have to adapt. Oh, now these new religions are introduced. Now we have to adapt. Now immigrants are coming from other countries. Now we have to adapt. Oh, now the LGBT community is in the play. Now we have to adapt. I don't think that when these laws were put into place, that all this stuff was considered, that the country would change this much.
Right.
And now they're trying to make it for everybody. But I think it was those, and this is my opinion, but I think those laws were put into place and these documents were written for a certain time, for a certain time frame, and not really conducive to the times of today. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
you said everything I wanted to say, but I didn't want to say it.
One thing about me,
Because you know me.
huh?
Like, I said, you know me.
Mhm.
You said what I would want to say. So I'm gonna say it, and I might get backlash for it.
No, this is the thing. I want you to feel. I don't want you to feel like you can't say what you gotta say. But remember, it's a family
But-
show.
Okay, but I have a job,
Mhm.
so they were all a certain type of man
Mhm.
that created these.
Right.
But now we have different cultures.
Different genders.
Those weren't taken into account at that time. Those weren't a thought.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Basically, I think
Yeah.
the main
I think-
thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I think that to a point, I think we live in a time where it's very difficult to say exactly what you want to say. The cancel culture, the complications that come from employment, and then also judgment by your fellow peers and what. I think the best advice I ever received, when it comes to when I studied political science, my bachelor's in political science from Georgetown, and I remember my political science telling me that there's no better freedom than the vote. If you really want to know how, yes,
Closer, so I can hear you because you're going in and out.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
There you go.
Okay. So when I was in undergraduate, I had a really good teacher, Dr. Mariner, who told me some of the most fascinating things. One specifically is there's no better freedom than an American can feel than in the voting booth. If you really want to know about how the average person feels in America, see how they vote. And you don't have to worry about how people will treat you or judge you or the consequences that come from it. In that moment, you are practicing your own constitutional rights and freedoms in that booth. And I think to one of our panelists' points, there are consequences out in the real world. However, you can't just say and do and expect there not to be consequences, especially in this cancel culture driven world that we live in, where you can lose your employment, you can be judged and ridiculed by your friends and cohorts. And I think what we have to be mindful of is that we lost that. We lost that ability to actually fairly communicate to our peers, even if it's consequential and controversial. Even I think that at the end of the day, when it comes to the PC police, we have to be mindful that everyone has the right to their opinions. We have to communicate openly and honestly to the people around us, even if we disagree. Ted Kennedy always said one of the greatest senators spent 30 plus years in United States Senate. He openly and honestly believed that at the end of the day, we could openly have discussions with one another, Republican, Democrat, independent, progressive. We can disagree. And at the end of the day, what unites us is the fact that we're all American. I think that that's gotten lost. I don't see how differences and disagreements is a bad thing. It used to be celebrated in this country. We used to be able to look across the aisle and say, even though I disagree with you, even though I don't believe exactly what you're saying, you have the right to openly address your concern. And now people are just doing that in the voting booth. And I think you're seeing that now more than ever, is that people are afraid to voice their real concerns. They're afraid to really communicate what's actively bothering them because of outside pressure. And the only time that you truly ever get to see how people feel is when they're picking their particular candidate and allow them to be the voice or the spokesperson of, because they aren't able to get that freedom right now in this country.
Got you. And I want to revisit. You said something, Caleb, about voting that I want to piggyback to later on because of the time constraints. Let's go ahead and go to the second topic, and that is, what are the benefits and negatives you think that each presidential candidate will bring? So, as you guys know, right now in our presidential race, we have Donald Trump representing the Republican Party, and we have our current president Joe Biden representing the Democratic Party. I'm not going to speak on where I stand as far as where Democrats or Republicans like that and everything. I will give some insights here and there, but where do you guys? What's so positive you guys think each candidate will bring?
I mean, if you're going to be choosing a candidate in this particular election,
well, John, let me pause for a second. Let's do it this way. Let me pause for a second. So let's do it this way. So is this so it can be more understood? Not meaning to cut you off or nothing like that.
No, you good. You good.
Yeah, let's focus on Biden, then Trump, and we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Right. So Joe Biden, Democratic candidate. What positives and negatives do you guys see coming with Joe Biden? Let's start. Does that help the conversation a little bit?
Yeah.
Where we're going? Okay, so it's about Biden right now. So, do you guys have any positive, negative views on Biden as far as him becoming president of the United States?
I mean, I would be voting for Biden. So I of course I have a lot of positives to say. I got a couple negatives, of course, but I have nothing but, I like at this point in this conjuncture of what we're looking at, neither candidate is like, for me, it's like the greatest candidate. I'm only like voting for Joe because I strongly disagree with what Trump is doing.
And what do you mean? What do you mean by what Trump is doing?
Well, I mean, what the administration. Well, I don't like what the administration did in the 4 years it was in
his first term.
In his first term, and to go for a second, I think will be detrimental to us, just only because of some of the laws that's been threatened, some of the things that he said he's gonna do. As an American, I'm Black. They call us African Americans, but I'm from America. You know what I'm saying? I've never been to Africa. My great grandma's from America. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears here. You feel me? So I represent America anytime I go to another country. So with that being said, I just don't feel like that January 6th, they call it the insurrection thing. I don't feel like that was a very American patriotic thing to do. I feel like it was a crime against your own government. And honestly, if the people weren't shot down, cool. I don't need them to die, but they should be punished. And to let them get off and give them a pardon, I think is a terrible idea. But I don't want to speak on Trump. This is about Biden. Biden just isn't Trump. That's the only thing. He's not the greatest guy, but he just isn't Trump. He has a better moral compass than him. And it's clear with, how he addressed the shooting. He was the only one to reach out to the victim that was in the crowd, the wife of the husband that died. And, it's a lot of things. I could just go on for days. Well, that's just my take.
Let me ask you this, and then we'll go to somebody else. And you guys probably answer this question too. So me and my wife recently sat down and watched the debate between, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And one of the things, this isn't my personal opinion, because I personally thought while watching the debate that Biden answered the questions and gave, he's actually on point with staying on topic and stuff like that, But the biggest conversation people are having is they feel like because of his age, and some say his mental state, that he's not a good candidate to be our president and his time has passed. There was a comment earlier that said he brings let me find it real quick. I'm sorry. Go back to Biden. Biden brings a lifetime of political experience. And that's true, because Biden's been in politics since way back. You know what I'm saying? He's gone up through the ranks and stuff like that and everything. So that's true. But now people are feeling like he's too old and his time is past. Do you guys agree with that?
He may be too old, but we got a vice president for that.
That's true. And that's one thing people don't take into consideration. The whole point of the vice president, if the president isn't able to enact his duties, then the vice president does take place. So with that being said, I'm not gonna lie, I can't top of my head think of who the vice president would be if Donald Trump becomes president. But I believe with Joe Biden is Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but they just named J.D. Vance would be his vice presidential candidate.
He's junior senator out of Ohio. He's 37 years old.
That's promising. Just talking about age, just like that, you know.
He actually represents the district my wife is from, actually.
Wow.
In Ohio. He is an absolutely incredibly intelligent human being. He graduated from Yale Law School and wrote a very prominent book called Hillbilly Elegy. It was a national bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
It was a national best-selling novel that was on the New York Times. He wrote the book about the conditions of mining culture in and around West Virginia and Kentucky. So the man is...
You're from Kentucky, right, Caleb?
I am. I'm an 8th generation Kentucky.
Nice.
Okay. But let me ask you this before we go into that, because we got getting positive stuff about Trump and his vice presidency and presidency and everything. But let's stay on topic. We'll get to Trump, I promise you. But Caleb.
No. Okay, I hear you.
No, he's explaining who J.D. Vance was.
Yeah, I got you. But Caleb, real quick. I do want to hear. I know you're a Republican and everything, but I do want to hear if you have any positive points when it comes to Biden and stuff like that, or negative points.
I do.
So,
I have several positives. With Biden being a career politician, it is hard to not look at the entirety of his political career. I think what he does an extremely great job at doing is uniting our allied nations in NATO, which is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, where we rely on allies throughout the Western world to help prevent the spreading of communism. I think that, and the impacts of Russia as a whole. And I think he does a really great job at kind of uniting a general flag with our allied nations, and he is beloved in the Western world. And I think that's very important, whereas Trump doesn't have that level of love globally, especially by our allied countries. I think that he is an isolation. Trump's always been an isolationist, whereas Biden has been historically a globalist, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's just how you interpret where we stand in the global community. But I am hypercritical of Joe Biden when it comes specifically to his 1994 crime bill. I think the Biden-Thurman violent crime bill was incredibly detrimental to the minority population. Yes.
Now, I will say this. I want to ask this. For the people who don't understand what that was, can you explain that a little bit? For the people watching?
Yeah, the 1994 crime bill was spearheaded by President Joe Biden, and as his time as a United States Senator. And I think it disproportionately impacted people of color, but especially when it comes to, quote, violent crimes in narcotics. I don't think that he did a great job of the implementation side of it when it was passed. And I think that you see that was a a massive controversy even during the Clinton administration during the 90s.
Facts.
I think that we have to be mindful about crime bills, and specifically because the biggest bipartisan measure for people of color specifically being impacted by crime bills took place in 2018 with the First Step Act under the Trump administration. This was a bipartisan measure by both Democrats and Republicans to deter from the 1994 crime bill. And I think that you're starting to see that people of color are being positively impacted from the negative stances created under the Biden administration, or the Biden crime bill in 1994.
That's true. I'd like to interject though, really quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So like with that, the crime bill was something that affected minorities, but at the end of the day, I got a checkered past, and I've been in captivity a few times. I did some time, got out, and reintegrated back into society. But I mean, for me, and I mean, I can speak for every Black person that I've ever come across. The crime bill has never been on our list of top priorities. Just for us personally, that's one thing we always looked at. But I mean, for us, it's just more about the whole the state of America, financially and morally. That's all we really care about, is as long as the morals are right, the finances are right. That's our biggest gripe.
So let me, Ashley, I know you actually your stuff that you want to say on Biden too and stuff like that. But I do have a question. I think all of us can relate. Me and John, from being Black, and Ashley and Caleb, and also myself, we're all working in the education arena and stuff like that. With stuff like that coming forth, how do you think that's going to affect our Black youth of today, with crime, with Black youth being as high as it is?
I don't think it's gonna matter. I mean, crime is crime. You're gonna have crime wherever you go. Crime is one thing. I don't know. I just think the more important thing about this particular election and the times we are in right now, I don't think crime is the thing that's really hurting America, and I definitely don't think it's immigration. I've never heard of anybody losing a job to an immigrant. Not in years. It's jobs
They
out
talk
here.
about it, but as in physically seeing it, I can agree with you. I've never physically seen it happen.
Yeah, but it's jobs out here. It's a lot of
it
jobs
is.
out here. So but people pick and choose their battles. This is one that they're trying to pick to go to war at because it's something they can try to nitpick. But I mean, that's not affecting America, man. We're affected right now. Personally, I think it's by the tariffs that was put in place, and that's the main thing. The police violence, the police brutality is getting a little better, getting a lot better. Believe it or not, people say BLM was this or that, but in my opinion, there's a lot of people that don't like BLM because they say that BLM is like ran by a lesbian woman or white people or stuff, and it's like, yo, what does it matter? We all came together for a good cause, and guess what? Police have to wear cameras now, so it's just one step in the right direction.
And I'm gonna say this, and then we'll go to Ashley because Ashley got her input to put in too. But Black Lives Matter. Just to say this, I think personally that Black Lives Matter shouldn't be called Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter should have been called the Me Too movement, because all we're saying is
Black Lives Matter too. Like we matter too. That's what I'm saying.
All Black Lives are saying, like, hey, our lives matter too.
Right.
We're better than anybody else.
Right.
It should have been called the Me Too movement, because, like, hey, we matter too. Don't just kill us. We matter just like everybody else matters. We just say we're with everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Not that we're more important. I focus on that. That's why I say it's a little joke. Black Lives Matter should have been the Me Too movement. That's what I'm saying. But Ashley, I'm sorry because we've been talking. I want to hear your views, positive, negative, when it comes to
Biden. Yeah.
I don't have as much as y'all. I apologize.
It's okay.
I
But
really don't. I mean,
opinion. That's what
he's
matters.
got experience. That's the positive I've got. He's got experience. He's been in there for 40 plus years. That's a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you got to go on up there maybe. But with 40 years, that's a whole lot. So your age, seeing him physically and mentally,
It's bad.
not good. It ain't physically and mentally. Yeah.
But I think with that, with that experience, I think if he does, I fair to say if he does win, I don't think that Joe Biden will be in presidency the entire 4 years. I don't think that's going to happen.
You think he's gonna die?
I don't think he's going to die, John.
I'm sorry. Call it what it is. You think he's gonna die?
I don't think he's going to die. But even when watching the presidential debate recently, you can tell, like, this is my opinion, that it's time to hang up the hat and pass it on to somebody else. And I think that experience right now needs to be taught and put on to Kamala Harris or anybody else in the Democratic Party. Because the thing is, though, and this is, like I said, I have to constantly say this is my opinion. When I seen the presidential debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, these are the two representatives of the two top representatives of the Democratic and Republican parties. And I'm like, this is really the best we got?
Yeah,
really?
come on, bro.
It's
the best of the best.
Right, this is the best of the Republicans and the Democrats. This is
we got a 90-year-old Democrat and a guy that's a famous celebrity as a Republican.
But I would say this. It was put in the comments earlier. Donald Trump does bring, and we're going to move on to Donald Trump now. Donald Trump does bring his business career to the political arena. And
I don't think that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't think it's a good thing. I think
it's a half and half. When it comes to the things as far as the business mindset of negotiating, making deals, stuff like that, I see the strength in that. You know what I'm saying? Now all the other stuff, you know what I'm saying? But we can't say that there's all negatives when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Caleb. I see you.
I did have a question to your point about African American youth. I mean, I'm obviously not a person of color. I wanted to hear from both of you gentlemen simply just because I read an interesting fact. It was published by a local news station in the district that I had taught in prior in Louisville, Kentucky. And I think that it kind of spoke volumes because it also did highlight the Caucasian demographic as well. It said that 1 out of every 3 white children in Jefferson County, Kentucky, which is Louisville metropolitan area of Kentucky, grow up without a father, and 1 out of every 2 African American child grows up without a father in the household. And that's just in my district alone. And
I
think it's devastating. It makes me think that I grew up without a father. My father left me when I was 11, and I haven't spoke to him in over 20 plus years. And I can tell you, I had a very hardworking, driven, capable mother that always put me first. But again, at the end of the day, she's just my mother.
Right.
And I would have always enjoyed just even having a father that was slightly interested in the household. Because, I mean, again, it's difficult growing up as a man, especially in this culture that we live in today. Suicide being the leading cause of death for men in this country. And so I think that when it comes to my discussion, I think that I wanted to ask you both, what do you think about the importance of the nuclear family? Like, is that something that has impacted, is that something that just impacts, minority population? Because I don't think so. I think it impacts.
No,
I don't think so. So
it impacts us all.
When you say that, you're talking about as far as the father being in the household?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and John, you don't mind if I say something real quick?
Oh, go ahead, man.
So all my guests today, I have a personal connection with all of you. Ashley went Douglas Anderson together. Caleb, we worked together in the school system, and John, we've been friends since we were like 9 years old and everything. So me and John are both Black men who grew up with our fathers in the household. So, and then seeing you, Caleb, as a man who didn't grow up as a with a father in your household, what I'm saying, which is funny because like it's reverse statistics. The Black guy.
That's not funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry, but it's funny.
It's reverse. I mean, we can joke and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But that right here is a prime example of it affects everybody. Because anybody watching this podcast will probably be like, oh yeah, Caleb definitely had his father, but John and Terrence probably didn't. But that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure for me knowing you personally, so I'm not going into detail about, that's me and your conversation, but you can see even with having the different effects that it has, a negative and a positive. So I definitely agree with John when I said it's not a black, white race thing.
It's a problem.
If your dad ain't there, it's a problem.
Yeah, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I just saw a statistic. I don't know if this is true, but they say that the amount of two parents households is about at 70% now. It's up 70% or something like that.
It's going up. Okay,
and I saw a comment. It's because everything costs so much. You got to sacrifice and just be.
Everybody. Hey,
I get it.
Everything do. Even divorce. You know what I'm saying? It's cheaper to keep it.
Facts. Hey man. I'm married.
You're not getting divorced. It costs too much. Inflation this time. Divorce probably went up because of inflation. You never know.
Yeah. No, but that's a real conversation right there because my father was in my life, but he left, came back, left. My parents were married and separated 2 different times. Got married to other people. I had a stepdad for a moment. My mom was single for a moment. And he comes back. I'm in middle school. And my dad comes back in my life and he's staying with us. So, I got to experience a lot of that. So not having your father directly in the household the whole time, it definitely affects you because I looked up to my uncle who was like doing street stuff and all this and that because that's who I saw when I was very young and wanted to kind of be like him. I thought that was it. And, I love my dad. My dad's great, but, it's just one of those things. You got to have a dad in your life actively all the time to make a real difference. And I'm not against gay people at all or nothing like that, but not to put my kids out there, but my stepson, when I first came around, he was kind of twisting when he walked, not knowing it. He's like 5, 6 years old, or 6, 7 at the time. And he doesn't do that no more, because I stayed on top of him and I'm just, and I just want him to selfishly be like me. I want him to be able to reproduce. I want him to get a wife, and having a father makes those things also possible. Like you can see what a man is, what it's like to be a man. You come home, you take care of your wife and your kids, and you're there for them, So I think not having parents in the household has caused crime to go up. And even the LGBTQ community to gain even more of head of esteem, I think. That's just my thought. I don't know. I don't know if there's something behind it, why the LGBTQ is, I don't have nothing against them either. I'm cool. It's just,
So I'm going to say this. If you want to get some more insight on that, that's another episode. We talk all about that.
Yeah.
But we got like about 10 minutes left. Let's finish up with the ideas, the opinions about the Trump administration. If Trump comes into the presidency, so the positives and negatives. We got the business aspect and stuff like that and everything. Is there anything else? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. When it comes to me and Caleb, you can help me out on this. I've been hearing, and maybe I'm talking about the more of the first term and stuff like that when he first tried to run for presidency. I'm just now. Let me be honest. I'm just now really getting into politics. Like within this year, I've really started taking it seriously and keeping up what's going on. But with the stuff about the wall and this and that and some of this, and maybe my opinion of the Republican Party has been so negative because every time I hear about Republicans always something like, oh, you know, the 1%, they're gonna get tax breaks, and then all the working people who aren't making any money are gonna get more taxes and stuff like that. Then you get the stuff about, you know, the wall keeping people out and stuff like that. Then you got the whole thing, the beef with, and I could be, and if I'm saying something wrong, you guys feel free to check me. The beef and the problems with Russia and stuff like that and everything. It's like every time I hear, and maybe it's because I'm black, maybe it's because I'm middle class, and maybe my views are biased based on that. But every time I hear Republican, I hear something negative based off my personal situations and my personal views. So with Trump being a Republican president, you know, I don't really see any positive benefits. And maybe with me saying that, some of those things need to be brought to life. I know Ashley, you don't choose, you're neutral. Caleb, you're a proud Republican. John, I don't know where you stand political wise. Are you Democrat, Republican, or are you neutral?
I'm a Democrat. I mean, when I was younger, I was told Republicans care about money, Democrats would care about the earth and stuff. So I was a Republican, but then as I got older, I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. I've been told personally that I identify. Actually, I take up. It's funny because the guy who told me this is on the podcast. Me and Caleb were in class one day. We were talking about it. He said, I haven't claimed it yet, but based off my ideas, I think it was libertarian. You said
Oh, don't you remember we did this at school and they made us take this little survey and it was on the line?
Ashley. We were in like 10th, 11th grade. I'm gonna tell you, I remember that day. I remember I wasn't paying attention that day.
You were paying attention.
I remember that whole thing we did at Douglas Anderson. I do, and I was not paying attention that day.
But I was actually talking to my man about this last night, and I was like, he said, babe, our viewpoints change. Things in our lives are going to change. Mm-hmm. And so where you were and where you are now might not be the same.
Right.
So that's where I can't say I'm this or I am this. There are things that I see on both sides. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's like, what decision am I going to make that's right for my family and my kids?
Yeah.
And that's how honestly, you make a good point. So when you say I rock with this political party, what you said is a good statement. You can't say, oh, I'm this because the thing about it, even with being a Democrat, a Republican, Libertarian, whatever you identify as, independent, whatever you identify as, you're not going to agree with everything that candidate or that party is saying. You're not going. That's a good point to be made. True. So with that being said, we still ain't got nothing positive for Trump yet, y'all.
No, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So I think I like this quote a lot by Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War II, and he says, let's see here. If you are young and not a Democrat, you have a heart. To be old and not a Republican, you have a brain. So I think that back to her point, I think she made a really good point. Like over time, you change how you view the world as you enter, and I think that I initially was a Democrat. It's crazy to say. I was at the 2016 Democratic National Convention when Bernie was running. Yes, I was in Philadelphia at the protest 2016. I marched with the Black Lives Matter movement in 2016. And I began to quickly realize, though, that this was not really about issues in this country of any substance. And I know that because Bernie consistently faced consistent disagreements or consistent trauma issues in his own party. And he never got an opportunity to really move on real issues of substance, even the 2016 and the 2020. And I think that I lost faith in the Democratic Party. I lost faith on the fact that no real value is being placed on student loan forgiveness as promised. I lost faith in the notion of universal health care. I lost faith in real substantial crime policy and movement. And I began to really start researching the Republican Party after years of being told that if I don't believe in a certain mindset, that I am a racist or a misogynist or any other hailed insult. I started realizing pretty quick that,
Caleb, you got to say hey to you, man. Say hey.
Hey. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was on. Hey. I just started realizing pretty quick that, the Republican Party has more value and substance than we give them credit for. And I did feel some type of way when Bernie didn't receive his full flowers, because he's been in politics his entire life and walked with Dr. Martin Luther King and was a spokesperson for people of color. And I think that, you just get beaten down year in and year out by the Democratic Party by not putting up real substantial value. And so I started really really started researching the Republican Party a little bit further and thinking for myself. And I think that it led me to an understanding that I don't want any form of government involvement controlling my life. I want to speak openly and honestly and be my own unique person and think for myself without the flash mob jumping on my back about every little social issue that I might disagree with. And of faith. I run my household in a very conservative platform, as Horne knows. I have a very conservative Christian wife that empowers me every day. And we believe in the nuclear family and always have. And I think that that shouldn't be dismissed. I think that we, at the end of the day, can think for ourselves. But I think that the Democratic Party statistically holds the argument of the moral debate. And I think that there's all sorts of different morality, and we have the freedom to be able to do it. But arguing and disagreeing with me and telling me that I'm horrible for running my own independent household, man, it can cause some serious consequences, especially for conservative Americans throughout America.
Gotcha. Okay, real quick, guys. I want to give a quick shout out to African American Entrepreneur Association. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. But guys, we're coming real close to our break time. Coming up on an hour. As sad as it is to say, I was trying, but we have not gotten any positive negatives about Trump yet. But that's okay. That's okay. Because the simple fact, when we come back from our break, we're going to talk about, the views on the assassination of Trump, Project 2025, and still give insight on Trump's presidency and stuff like that. But real quick, we're going to take a 10-minute break. So you guys take time, refresh yourselves, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, stuff like that. And we're going to continue this conversation when we come back, all right?
All right.
If you or someone you know needs help coping with depression, anxiety, or PTSD, overcoming low self-esteem, or managing major life transitions, we invite you to schedule a free consultation call for telehealth clients. Shekinah Downs, licensed clinical social worker, is now accepting new telehealth clients in the office too. Schedule a free consultation by calling 386-385-4483. That's 386-385-4483 in the brand new Daytona Beach office as well. 50 to 60-minute individual therapy sessions and a variety of insurance plans are accepted. Couples therapy and coaching is coming soon. We invite you to log on to cjaqis.com. Schedule a free consultation by calling 386-385-4483. That's 386-385-4483. Why is this happening to me? I thought I had done all the right things. I was faithful in the marriage, a good mother, kept a clean and welcoming home, and I was employed. And yet, there I was, with 2 small, beautiful children, and I was solely responsible for every aspect of their lives. There was not going to be a better half or another parent for my children, and I never imagined that this would be my life. I felt like I was in the desert, needing water, shelter, and rest that I so needed. I knew I was baptized and believed in Jesus Christ. I did not realize that I needed to believe in myself, my strength. I did not know that I was a beautiful, talented woman. At the time, I knew that I was becoming emotionally, financially, spiritually, and physically stretched to the point of feeling that I was going to break. All of this would lead me to ask God for a plan and the strength to persevere towards and through the plan. Joanne, Unveiling the Unseen. My 22-year journey of discovering my life in singlehood. Produced for audiobook by Angie B. Productions and narrated by me, the Queen Bee, Angie B. I am in my happy place, and I've got Georgia on my mind. Save the date. It's time to shine at the 8th annual Bold, Beautiful, and Bald Beauty Bazaar and Weekend Retreat. Join us September 19th through the 22nd, 2024 in historic St. Mary's, Georgia. A fundraiser for the National Alopecia Areata Foundation, spreading awareness and acceptance. Follow us on Facebook, Bold, Beautiful, and Bald Beauty Bazaar. Our host hotel this year is the Shore Stay Plus by Best Western, St. Mary's, Cumberland. Weekend retreat activities include the Friday Fun Photo Shoot, picnic lunch back at the hotel, and the Royal Blue Beauty Bazaar Fashion Show takes place on Saturday. For more information, call 407-914-6519. That's 407-914-6519. I'm in my happy place. Come join me.
What's up, everybody? The Dental Diva here to talk about stain.
It's time for the Dental Diva.
Do you have stain? Is it a problem for you? I'm going to give you some tips on how to reduce that stain. Stain can be caused by a number of different things. It could be from your beverages you're drinking, like coffee or tea or wine, or even the foods we may eat, like blueberries. When stain sticks to the teeth, it makes the surface of your tooth very rough. When something is rough, it makes more plaque adhere to that. Think about a snowball effect. Once the plaque hardens into tartar, then more stain adheres to that, and that causes more plaque, and then tartar on top of that. And before you know it, you have stain on your teeth that cannot be removed with your toothbrush. What can you do then to reduce the amount of stain? I tell my patients, if they're going to drink coffee or tea or eat some sort of food that causes stain, try to brush after you're eating that food or beverage. Even rinse if possible. If you're drinking something, try to drink through a straw. and be done with it at that setting. Do not sip on it all day long. Always make sure you're brushing your teeth twice a day also. Coming in every 6 months for your cleanings. There are some bleaching agents on the market that can help with your stain.
Contact Lynn Weaver, the Dental Diva, at smartsmilesllc@gmail.com. First, we invited you to save the date for the 8th annual Bold, Beautiful, and Bald Beauty Bazaar and Weekend Retreat coming to St. Mary's, Georgia. Yep, the phones are ringing. Come shop with our vendors, Unique Creation, Ms. Walker with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and many more. We're excited to introduce you to our featured fashion show designer. Affordable airport transportation is being provided by Towns Enterprise Services, LLC, and our premier sponsor is returning to teach us about AMBA. Special guest performance by T-Horne, the Uncool.
You got your eyes on me, I can see them. I see you on Facebook, but I can delete you. I put you on a block, listen, keep nothing secret. So now I gotta choose what kind of meal I'm gonna feed you, boy.
Get your tickets today for only $10. Send a cash app to 407-914-6519. That's 407-914-6519 for the cash app. Or come on out and join us. 407-914-6519. I see you looking.
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about.
Hey everybody, it's T-Horne Uncool, and we are back with conversations with yours truly, T-Horne Uncool. We are talking about state of emergency. That's the title topic. And what we're talking about is a lot of political stuff going on in the world today. When it comes to presidential election, when it comes to the state of our nation, and our opinions and stuff like that. And we have a great panel of people today from different walks of life with different views, different opinions, but we'll all come together to talk about our different views and opinions on different topics. We can bring unity and get understanding. Because once you understand, you can move better. Whether you disagree or agree, you can still move better in a positive direction. So let's bring our guests back on the screen if they are available. So we got John, we got Caleb, and we got Ashley. Welcome back, guys. All right, so let's continue our conversation. Before we left for the break, we were talking about the positives and negatives of each presidential candidate, and we left off on Donald Trump. And since we're talking about Donald Trump, let's go ahead and go to topic 3, and let's get everybody's views on a recent assassination attempt of Donald Trump. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me just get this real quick about my view. So I had to kick myself in the butt because, and this is me speaking freely, when I heard that somebody attempted to assassinate former President Trump, the Democrat in me was kind of like, yes, but that was messed up. Because that was messed up. It was messed up, and the reason it's really messed up. But the reason I say it's messed up is because I can't want anybody to be assassinated or taken out simply because of my political views and my opinions. Now, if he detrimental to the country, I really shouldn't wish death on anybody, because the fact of the matter is, one day this could be our commander in chief, and then you get that thought in your head, like, man, I wish this dude would have got shot. That's not a good thing to have, a good idea to have, because even with me disagreeing with a lot of stuff with President Trump, that doesn't mean him getting assassinated is the way. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have those mindsets. But at the same time, I was able to see a lot of different, things that came about with the assassination attempt, which I'm going to talk about, but I want you guys to give your inputs first. So, Ashley, I'm going to start with you. Because I know us men been topping it up. How did you feel about the assassination attempt?
Okay, so hopefully I don't know, I was like a small percentage of people that thought that's a joke. It was a ploy. It's a stunt. It's a stunt. Trump
Caleb,
did it.
are you nodding your head yes too? Was that a not yes?
I could
Okay.
I could understand. I don't agree, but I understand why you would think
Okay,
that.
so that's where, like,
Sure.
truly, initially, like, when I first saw it, I was like, man, Trump did that to
I think we all
get.
had that interview. We did. I think I had it too.
And I was like, he did this to draw more attention because that's a Trump thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next day, after sleeping on it and watching it, I was like, nope, this brings up a whole nother topic for me and what I see in the students that I work with, that this is another case of mental instability with the youth that we work with.
Yes. That was perfect.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
I
was
didn't even
perfect.
look at it from that standpoint. That's a very good point you're making. Wow. Are you saying as far as explain to me, are you saying as far as the person who tried to assassinate him, or are you saying like okay. I get where you're coming from. John, you got any insight on that?
I mean, so first, when you said the Democrat, you said yes, I felt that in a way because it was funny the way you said it, but I felt it because me personally, I feel like it's threatening to us if Trump wins. So unfortunately, if he has to be a casualty of that to affect our way of life, then that's just the way it goes because there's millions of people go to war and get killed all the time. But to speak just on that, I think, like, if I was to give my input on what I think happened or who did it, who's behind it, it would be two different reasons. It would be the one, that same boy that was in that was doing the shooting, he was in the ad for a company called BlackRock. This company BlackRock actually controls majority of the world's, not the United States, but the world's money. They control it. So with them being in their ad a few years back, it's easy to link into something like that. Maybe they want to knock Trump off or something. You know, I'm sure there's laws and things being put in place and all type of stuff. With these tariffs, I speak so adamantly about that is affecting the way money's being moved around the world. Trump's a businessman, so he brought that real, what do you say, like guerrilla type business mentality. Like he comes and he takes, and if you give him a little bit of power, he's gonna flex. He's gonna flex his muscle. And I think he was doing too much muscle flexing. So that could be one. And the other reason I think it was either it could have been just Biden. Period. It's either this company BlackRock has something to do with it, or Biden. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's just, if you can put 1 + 1 = 2 is what it is. They just had a Supreme Court ruling to make it so that a president is immune to all like criminal charges as long as he's president. Including, this is I quote from Biden, including, sending a hit for your opposition. So technically, they already made it. They voiced it verbally. Biden can literally say, "Hey, I want this guy killed," and not go to jail for it, not be persecuted for it at all. Especially if he feels like he's a threat, and he's already voiced that Trump is a threat to democracy, and he feels that way. So do I and others that feel that way, that have deduced all the things that Trump has said, plans on doing, and has done thus far to us.
Got you. Okay. Look, comment down here. Free blacks were originally Republican, and now blacks are mostly Democratic.
Yep, that was the change. Wow. Yep.
Caleb, and after you go, Caleb, I want to talk a little bit about the funny, kind of not a joke, but something I thought was pretty sarcastically funny, but at the same time it has a lot of relevance to the assassination attempt. But what are your views on the assassination attempt of Donald Trump?
Well, this isn't new in American history, assassinating presidents and the attempts of assassinating presidents. This is, I mean, off the top of my head, I could think eight presidents have had either been assassinated or had assassination attempts. And speaking of which, a lot of people don't know this, but George W. Bush actually had an assassination attempt in 2006. So,
yeah, shoes thrown at him too.
Yeah, shoes thrown at him too. Yeah. Definitely. So I mean, looking back at it, I think like you look at like Teddy Roosevelt, for example. He was shot. He was shot in the chest and finished the speech. Might I add?
Yeah.
Yes. The only thing that kept him from suffering even further bullet wounds, he had a copy of the speech that was over 150 pages that blocked the breastplate from being punctured too far. So
wow.
We have presidents that have had run-ins with assassination attempts: JFK, Reagan, Lincoln, McKinley, Garfield, George W. Bush. It goes on far, but this attempt on Donald Trump's life is an attack on democracy, in my personal opinion. You don't have to like President Trump. You can think he is a legitimate threat. But when we start killing our adversaries, simply just attempting to murder our adversaries, especially a former president of the United States, we start getting into authoritarian forms of government. Yep. And that's horrifying for me. That makes us no different than North Korea. The thing that we hold near and dear to our hearts is our ability to elect the leaders that we think best represent this country. And when we attempt to murder them, it's like I said, it's a 100% attack on American democracy, and it's a threat to our country as a whole. And just as the left widely thinks that Donald Trump is an absolute disaster to American democracy, well, the right is screaming as loud as they can that the attack on his life is a very attack on democracy as a whole. Like, people have to be able to freely voice and express their opinions and vote for whoever they wish best represents this country. And when we just openly state that, well, I'm going to assassinate someone for our own interest, then we're running into authoritarianism, and that's not the country that I think our founding fathers would appreciate at all.
Question for you. What are your thoughts on the fact that this law was put in place and passed by Supreme Court by a Trump-appointed Supreme Court official for something that was for Trump, when he was going through his cases of felony charges while he was under presidency, that got thrown out. And that's when they also added the notion in the verbiage that the president is basically immune to any criminal charges. So what are your thoughts on that, creating the environment?
I think that we got to be a little careful that I think that widely what we have to be mindful of is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a former Supreme Court justice and was a liberal justice from the prior Obama administration into the Clinton, and I think all the way until like George H.W. Bush, even Reagan, I believe. Well, I think what happens is Ruth Bader Ginsburg is responsible for the Supreme Court widely flipping to Republican. When we have to think about how the Constitution lays out the Supreme Court in the various articles produced in the Constitution. Supreme Court justices can hold office for as long as they wish. There is no term limits. on Supreme Court. And so Ruth Bader Ginsburg was dying from cancer and could have easily resigned under the Obama administration when he had both the House and the House and the United States Senate, but she chose not to, and that was a massive blunder. When we look at the layout of the Supreme Court moving forward, is that, you know, we can't allow our pride to inevitably allow a smart political decision to take place. And the Democratic Party failed miserably by not forcing out older Supreme Court justices and replacing them with younger minds. And that's exactly what the Republican Party is happily doing right now, is replacing the older generation of Supreme Court justices and bringing in a new group of conservative justices that swing the Supreme Court in theirs on the Republican based side. And that's exactly what the responsibility of the president is to do, is represent, or to nominate Supreme Court justices and get them through Congress. Right. And so I think that what we have to be mindful of is that, of course, conservative justices are going to favor the very individual that put them in office. This is not a foreign concept. I mean, throughout history, of course, approved United States Supreme Court justices from a political president or from a presidential candidate is going to side with that candidate. That's the reason they were appointed in the first place. That's why we have balances in this country to vet Supreme Court justices, and there are strategies in place to prevent people from getting into office that shouldn't hold office. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg made a massive mistake by not resigning under the Obama administration to be replaced.
Real quick.
I mean, so,
go ahead, y'all, finish.
But you know, like, not having Supreme Court justices, that's been in effect forever, almost, like, right? It's always been like that. So that's nothing new. But what I'm trying to get at is, Trump created it. Can you agree? Like, Trump created the environment by whatever crimes he committed, or they say he committed under presidency. He was going to court for it, so he had his Supreme Court justice see the case, and boom, now we have a new law in place where they're immune to all criminal charges. You don't think that's wrong? You don't think that created the environment that we're in now?
Hold on, y'all. Let me just talk about that topic real quick. We're gonna get back to it. It's just that part of the conversation is really, really big with our next topic and stuff like that. But before we go into that, I want to do something real quick. So everybody who knows me knows and this is one crazy thing about me. Everybody on here knows, like, I'm a nerd, right? Yeah, we all know that, right? My viewers know and stuff like that and everything. And now you guys are like, we're talking about politics, talking presidential debate. How does that coincide with what we're talking about? I have some images real quick. I want to put on the screen and show you guys real quick. And I'm going to explain what these images represent and how they have to do with the Donald Trump, the recent assassination. Can I get those images on the screen? Okay, we have a picture of All Might. Okay, can we go to the next one? So you get it. And then we have this picture of Wall Might. And let's get the third picture. Okay, and if you read it, it says anime fans globally compare Trump to All Might after Trump was shot. So, real quick, let me explain these images right quick and why I brought those images on the screen from an anime perspective. So, for those who watch anime, that character All Might is from an anime called My Hero Academia. There we go, All Might. So, what All Might represents in that anime is a world full of heroes. And All Might is the number one hero. He's a symbol of peace, the symbol of hope, the symbol of justice. In 2018, they made a funny comic book where they were making fun of Donald Trump and calling him Wall Might because, you know, with the with the wall and stuff like that and everything, because he was supposed to be a symbol of hope for the country and stuff like that and everything. So when you go to the third picture, when people are comparing Donald Trump to All Might after he was shot, as you see, they're doing the same pose and stuff like that, right? Donald Trump and All Might are not alike in any way. But in that picture where he's raising his hands up high, I'm talking about All Might now, that was after a battle where he was supposed to die. And when he raised his hand after the battle was done, saying, hey, I'm still here, I'm still standing, it's funny to me because the little Walmart picture in the comic book was made in 2018.
Oh,
then
wow.
Then after Donald Trump assassination attempt, he did the same thing that All Might did. It was kind of representation like, hey, I am America's hero. And even after the attempt made on my life, boom, the symbol of peace, the symbol of hope is still here. In my opinion, even with being a Democrat and anime people making jokes and stuff like that, that was a kind of subliminal saying of, hey, listen, I'm your hero. I'm the hope for this country, and I'm still here. To me, personally, that assassination attempt guaranteed that Donald Trump is going to be the next president. That was almost, I'm not saying the attempt on his life was fake. I'm saying the attempt on his life, though, kind of boosted the Republican belief in him in a sense. And I'm not talking about Republicans as far as, the high class or the 1%. I'm talking about the people who aren't in the 1%. Like that assassination attempt gave the Republican Party something to believe in.
I see where you're going with this. I think Trump messed up though, because Trump is a great. I respect Trump as far as like a hustler. He's a mastermind marketer. You know what I'm saying? He's a hustler. I don't really respect his business acumen because he has too many claims and lawsuits. There's a lot of laws in place where you can go and you can hire this crew to come and work on my building. And if I'm not pleased with the work, I don't have to pay you. Well, he took advantage of a lot of those laws, a lot of people. So I'm not a fan of that. But hustler, he got it. He's selling Bibles, he's selling gold shoes. He got sued for all that money. He made all that right back. I get it. Cool.
Ashley, hold on, but John, real quick. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Ashley's face, and Ashley looks like she's disturbed over there.
He a hustler, but it's just for me. It's just I think he had a chance to kind of get some more backing behind him, but when he made his two things he did wrong. One thing is he never even reached out to the victim. He let Biden reach out to the victim first, and he still hasn't. Okay, so that's one. Two, he chose his vice presidential nominee. You described him as an intelligent guy. He's intelligent, but he's one of those extremist guys. He has extreme ways about him, and he's one of those guys where he's even like even just a little maybe more extreme than Trump. So that's a bad look. It just brings the narrative that people think about you even more, and that's the tactic he's taking. So he took the tactic of siding with, or whoever comes with him, he's gonna be quote unquote the great white hope. This was the last election, and it worked. I didn't think it was gonna work. It worked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But because his plan was like, hey, I'm MAGA this, MAGA that. I mean, I don't know. If it's people that's actually voting for their life, they have to understand what happened the 4 years, the plan, what went wrong, and what's coming up. Like MAGA was all about manufacturing in America, taxing those that bring stuff in, taxing those that take stuff out. That's called the 301 tariffs he put in place. So with those tariffs, it's like, hey, I'm going to tax all these countries, the people that we've been dealing with for years, because I feel like they've been getting over on us. That's his business side talking. And you see what happened to the U.S. dollar. You also see what's happening to all the goods we get bringing in. all the goods we get brought in. Import, export costs a lot more now. A lot of things have been affected by that. So we can't produce things in America the way they do overseas. Their cost of labor is a tenth of what we pay. You know, so the thought process of making America great again and us not rely on other countries is just not a viable option. And that's what he played on, and that's what he planned on. It hasn't been good for us. When a president comes in office, you see the effects of what he did years after. It doesn't happen right away. So everything that Trump did, we're seeing now during Biden's presidency. So, you know, when you have a good understanding of that, and you know how tariffs work, and you're like, why are we doing it? This isn't a good idea. Like, you know, and going over there dealing with China, dealing with Russia. There's reasons why other presidents in the past don't. But you want to, instead of building relationships with NATO that you talked about earlier, instead of building relationships with them, you would rather go to their opposition and go talk to them. The Heritage Foundation is something dealing with the Trump administration. They're the people behind Project 25. We can go on to that. You know what I mean? That the people behind Project 25, when you look into the inner workings of it, they had an investigation on them. The people that's behind it are actually Chinese. He's the only president that went over there to meet with the guy in China. That's cool with the guy in China. China has been trying to overtake the USA forever. Well, why would we have all these China spies over here we're catching now? Balloons flying everywhere. Why would we want to do anything that has to do with China? You know, so it's a lot of weird things going on with Trump. You know, a lot of laws have been passed. They got it to the point now where I truly believe that if Trump was to become president, he'll make it to where he stays the presidency, where a president can run more than 8 years. I promise you that.
Speaking of Project 25, first of all, I like the transition you made going into the conversation started number 4 with the Project 2025. But speaking of that, I was gonna let you know, based off of talking about that, you sound like the left right now. You sound like the left. Let's joke and stuff like that. Oh, but before we go into that, I do want to get on that. Ashley, you were making a lot of faces when it comes to that assassination attempt. You have anything you want to say on that?
Well, now I got like sidetracked on like a couple different things. So when you talk about that anime thing and you talk about being a nerd and you talking about this whole anime thing, I kid you not, as me and my children are sitting at the table, I'm like, what's a Simpson video? What's a Simpson episode?
Are we looking for the Simpson episode to tell what's going to happen? But
they say there's one where Trump got killed in 2025. They say there's one.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. The Simpsons have predicted a lot of stuff, and they're pretty accurate so far. So let's get that. But let's go. That's funny. That was good.
But I want to hear what our in-house Republican has to say about what I said about Trump.
Well, hold on. Give a time frame.
Yeah. It's funny. It's interesting.
I want to get into 2025.
We're going to that. So John, let's pocket that because if we're going with this to 2025, we'll go back to that. So keep that in mind. Don't lose it, all right?
Yes.
Okay. But prior to 2025, we know, let me say this. I've been doing research on it today. And I personally thought it was a Trump thing. So there have been reports saying that Trump is not associated with Project 2025, though let's be real, we all think, but not all, but a lot of us think that Trump is associated with it because a lot of things fall into favor with him. John, I see your face, but because of the podcast, I have to say that, all right? You can't go off the conspiracies, you gotta go off facts, you feel me? But I will say this, Project 2025 was started by the Heritage Foundation, I believe it's called, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of allies of Trump are aligned with Project 2025. But we can't say that Trump is directly involved because Trump has denied all allegations of Project 2025. Is it true? I don't know, but that's what's being said. You have to go off the facts of what's being said and not what we think, all right? But I do want to read something real quick. I was taking notes about Project 2025. And these are some of the things that they're saying is coming forth because of Project 2025. Some of the things that they're saying, there's supposed to be a 180-day plan for the first 180 days for the Republican presidency. So to get things in line because of how things have been going to the country socially and stuff like that. So some of the things that, and this is from, let me see the website real quick so I can tell you. So this is not from me. This is actually from Ron Duprat, who's a chef, just speaking on a poster he's seen by the Presidential Transition Project. So some things they're saying they're going to try to implement: end no-fault divorce, complete the ban on abortions without exceptions, ban contraceptives. If you don't know what contraceptives are, that's birth control. Additional tax breaks for corporations in the 1%, higher taxes for the working class, elimination of unions and worker protections, raise the retirement age, cut Social Security, cut Medicare, end the Affordable Care Act, raise prescription drug prices, eliminate the Department of Education, use public taxpayer money for private religious schools, teach Christian religious beliefs in public schools, end free and discounted school lunch programs, end civil rights and DEI protections in the government, ban African American and gender studies in all levels of education, ban books and curriculum about slavery, ending climate protections, increase Arctic drilling, deregulate big business and oil industry, promote and expedite capital punishment, end marriage equality, condemn single mothers while promoting only traditional families, defund the FBI and Homeland Security, use the military to break domestic protests, mass deportation of immigrants and incarceration in camps. Oh, Jesus. End birthright citizenship, ban Muslims from entering the country, eliminate federal agencies like the FDA, the EPA, the NOAA, and more, and continue to pack the Supreme Court and lower courts with right-wing judges. So these are the things that are saying. Now, I'm not saying these are facts, but based off, the posters are being advertised for what Project 2025 is. These are some of the things that they're saying that the Heritage Party is going to try to push within the first 180 days. Obviously, all of it's not going to go through. That's going to be a lot of stuff to try to put in transition, and that's more than 4 years worth of work. But these are some of the things that they're saying going to be put into play, or they're going to try to put into play. So with that being said, we got 20 minutes left in the show. Let's take 10 minutes and talk about that. So let's everybody, give your opinions and give other people time to talk. How you guys feel about some of the things, or is there anything that specifically stood out to you in that project?
I can identify with a lot of these, and I have some major issues with these. So if this goes to one particular party, then I'm voting complete opposite, because I won't stand for this.
But remember, just because this is something the Heritage Project is doing, this is something Trump is putting into play. We don't know what it's going to be. So, it's kind of like up in the air. You know what I'm saying? But right now you're saying, like, if that's with them, I can understand what you're saying with the allies of Trump being associated with this. It seems like that's where it's going to go, right? You're like, yeah.
I'm not willing to take that gamble.
Somebody said, I need my birth control.
I mean, hello, look at my eyeballs.
We need y'all to need the birth control. We don't need no more kids either.
Thank you. Like, I mean, I can go down the list individually. I mean, but we need more time.
Right.
So
right. We definitely need more time. Probably revisit that in another episode. One thing I can say, and Caleb, I think you agree. You can agree with me, because one thing I will say about Caleb, me and Caleb worked in the same school program, and one thing I commend him on, even with being a Caucasian man, I've been in his classes and stuff like that, and he was very big on making sure the African American students knew their history. Very big on that. So when I see the man When I say the ban of African American studies and stuff like that, that bothered me because like, why is it not? Why does the government think it's not important for the African Americans the youth to learn about and know who they are? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of other stuff. I didn't say anything, everything, but there was something on another thing I read, nothing that relates to me, about cutting veteran benefits and make it so veterans get less money for their benefits and the healthcare and stuff like that. And I thought that was crazy too, because why are you attacking the veterans even who actually put their lives on the line for the country? Why are you taking the benefits away from them? So
Are we talking active or retired?
Veterans, retired.
Sorry.
Yeah, the veterans, the ones who are former duty and stuff like that and everything. And that hit me. I just started getting my benefits. Don't take them away.
I need my GI Bill. I need everything.
Right. But John and Caleb, do you guys have anything from what I read that sticks out to you that you maybe disagree with or even maybe agree with? Because me and Caleb had a conversation earlier about, some of these things being put in place because of the social of this country and anything and stuff like that. So, and the country is some things in the country are out of control. And I feel like Project 2025 is a way of them trying to get the country back under control. Do I agree with it? No, but I understand the reasoning for it, if that makes sense. You guys get what I'm saying? I totally disagree with it. You can't control people, but they're trying to control the negativities in the country. But I think they're going a little too far with it. So where you got? Go ahead, Caleb.
Well, first I want to thank you for that compliment. It means a lot to me, just because, I as a Caucasian, and conservative and Christian and all of the stereotypicals that come in, I try to do the best. But I live by this particular scripture. It's John chapter 1, verses 3 through 3:18. It says, "Dear children, not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." And that's how I live my life. I actively do the best I can to allow my actions to be the driving force of how I teach, and just try my best I can to impact youth wherever I see fit. I mean, whenever it's an opportunity. So I appreciate that compliment deeply.
Caleb, real quick, before we go any further, I want to. I'm very interactive with the viewers, so I want to shout out 2 viewers who I seen pop on real quick, and I'm gonna let you get right back to it. If I can just find the name real quick. Hold on. Lynn Weaver, thank you for watching. Actually, there's 3. Where's the young lady that said hi to you? Caleb, the young lady said hi to you. What was her name?
Oh, that's my mother-in-law, Kendra.
Hey, mama-in-law. Thanks for watching. And also, I want to give a shout out to Kevin James, too. I see you, boy. I see you watching. Appreciate you watching, man.
Hey,
Okay.
young Kev.
Yeah, I want to make sure I acknowledge people watching and everything like that. And be interactive with them. But go ahead and continue what you were saying, Caleb. I'm sorry.
So this is the thing. I'm a Trump apologist. I think that Trump does a lot of things that are controversial as a whole. But we have to be pretty mindful that there's been controversial presidents throughout American history, to say the very least. Andrew Jackson comes to mind. William McKinley comes to mind. A lot of people don't know this, but we legitimately started a war, the Spanish-American War, under the McKinley administration by sinking one of our battleships off the coast of the USS Maine in the Havana Harbor. That's now why we have control over Guam and Puerto Rico. So to sit here and be like, presidents haven't said controversial things, that's the biggest falsity that we live in. Just we have like short-term memory loss when it comes to history. We only want to hear dates. We only want to hear what fits our agenda. But the thing about history is that it should be pretty transparent. It should be pretty black and white when it comes down to it, but it's just not.
Wait, hold on. Have we ever had a president to say the things Trump has said out his mouth, or
Of course,
have or have a reputation like that.
we had a president that led to the death of thousands of Native Americans during the Trail of Tears under the Andrew Jackson administration.
Was he a good president?
No, he was.
Wait,
He wasn't a good president.
I'm sorry, John. I'm tripping because people are commenting from the conversation with T-Horne group, and they definitely put that grab him by the P word on there. Lord, nobody will ever forget that. But
I think that yes, we've had controversial presidents in American history. We've had presidents say out-of-pocket things. Richard Nixon is known for saying one of the most controversial things about people of color and dropping the N-word. So yes, I think that we have to be mindful that at the end of the day, Trump, although I don't agree with a lot of the things, and again, I'm not a Trump apologist, but to sit here and think that we've not had Delano Roosevelt comes to mind with the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II.
Yep.
We can't sit here and say that that Donald Trump isn't the only president in American history that has not said out-of-pocket things. The difference between Donald Trump and prior presidents is that things are now broadcasted at such a vast rate that it's very difficult to be mindful of the fact that widely had secrecy on their side before the internet became a thing, before news media became a thing.
Well, to be fair, the mic has always been in front of the president. He's always had to stand in front of a mic. But to hear the president say, "I don't particularly like that guy," or talk about the beating of another running mate's husband, was it Nancy Pelosi? Things like that you don't hear presidents say on a regular basis.
And didn't he make fun of a mentally challenged person during his presidency too, and stuff like that?
That was one thing. That's just one of many.
Yeah,
one of many things. It's just for me. It's like, white or black. Right is right. Wrong is wrong.
Hold up. Pause. Y'all see who made that comment, right? I gotta read it. That's the wifey. I gotta acknowledge her. She made a
Okay.
We can have a controversial president all day, but being a danger to society is a problem. What was the date? What was the date that they had that riot in Washington that they say President Trump he like kind of low key kind of promoted, and then they went crazy in Washington and stuff like that?
That was the January 6th insurrection thing, they call it, when they rushed the White House. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. Those people are patriots in his eyes, and they should be pardoned. But when people were marching peacefully for BLM, he actually said they should be shot. Can we shoot them?
That's a good point.
There's a vast difference there, like it's just being right and wrong, because like it's one thing about black people. We grow up in the world loving people just who they are. Like I don't know any black person ever that grew up in a household where they said not to like this race or we don't like whites. That energy has never been harbored by us. We've always loved other cultures and other races, but it's so hard for us to be accepted, and that is something we've always dealt with. But at the end of the day, I just feel like whether you rocking with black people or white people or both, it's got to be about your own life, your own family, what's going on in the future, how are my bills going to be affected, and how is the safety of this country, my lifestyle? Can my wife even get an abortion? It's a lot of things they're trying to do that's really scary. Laws are being changed to accompany this guy, Trump. He put the right people in the right places to get laws changed, which I commend him for that, because when Obama was in office, he couldn't get nothing done really because he didn't have the right people on his side. And You know, he got a few things done. We got the health care, and Trump tried to shoot that down, but it wasn't broke, so, you know, you couldn't do that. You know, but it's just a lot of things going on. It's scary when somebody takes their power and they abuse it like that. The government I've never seen the government shut down or even been close to threatened to being shut down so many times than in the 4 years Trump was in office. He literally told us, we're shutting the government down because I want my name put on the stimulus checks. They need to think that this came from me.
Got you. So
That's a dangerous thing to me, man. We got 2 white people up there. Why we can't just vote for the right white guy?
right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Like,
So
Why did it be white?
real quick, guys. We got 10 minutes left in the show, and I want to get everybody's point of view. Caleb, I know you got something real quick, but we still gotta hit a couple of things. So real quick, Caleb, go ahead. Get your point of view. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
Would you be concerned if a president of the United States had connections to the Ku Klux Klan?
Very much.
I mean,
I would.
But
I
okay,
mean,
so if you carry that mindset, you have to be understood that Harry S. Truman, who was a Democratic president after World War II and during World War II and after World War II, arguably initiated one of the most controversial measures in war history by dropping the atomic bomb on Japan. Also, as a youth and in his early 20s, was a devout sympathizer and member of the Ku Klux Klan. So we can't sit here and say that there has not been presidents with racial issues in this country. I'm not justifying, nor am I saying that it's acceptable, and I'm not saying that as a person of color that you should not be concerned about the issues of Donald Trump. I'm not a Trump's a sympathizer by any means, but to me, I think to sit here and not look at history and say, have we had president? Like when people say that the worst president in American history is Donald Trump, that's so crazy to me because I look at other presidents in American history that have done absolute atrocities, especially coming to mind Richard Nixon being responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Cambodians during the Vietnam
Khmer
War.
Rouge. My wife is 100% Cambodian. I completely agree. But, you know, at the same time, we're living in a world where there's no more segregation. A lot of those people you compare Trump to, or you talked about the controversial stuff, that was in a totally different world. Well, now black people, white people, gays, straights, they all have some sort of right. They're all free to vote, and we have some sort of equalities in this country. So that's a whole totally different time. You're not going to hear a white president go up there and drop the N-bomb.
Right.
Back then, okay, those were different times. So the comparisons, I mean, history repeats itself, but not the way people act, the way people talk. It's different.
No. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I'm looking at time. Y'all know I keep up with time and everything. So we're at the last 7 minutes of the show. So real quick, if you guys could just give me anywhere from 30 seconds, real quick, to tell me how you think politics are affecting our communities today. I want to hear from each person and stuff like that. And then we can get into the closing out of the show, because we might have to revisit this. Because I know there's some conversations that still need to happen, stuff like everything. Ashley, politics, how's it affecting the communities today?
Can we open the floor to talk about DeSantis and the stuff that he's doing here in our state?
The state, the local, yes.
Actually, that's gonna have to be another. That's gonna be a conversation. That's be a whole nother episode, because we got 5 minutes left in the show. I can talk about.
I want to talk about DeSantis.
And that's a big thing. I almost lost my job because of what DeSantis put into play. So I definitely want to talk about that, but that is another conversation, another episode. Okay. Anybody have any insight on how politics are affecting our communities today? But that's actually a good point. That I almost lost my job.
That is.
Because anything else about how politics are affecting our communities today?
I'll give you a good one. They're affecting our communities, without just the political sides and the rules and regulations that could be brought upon us, but it's affecting us by like sometimes it can even cause us to draw a line in the sand. Like when that George Floyd thing happened, you started to kind of draw a line in the sand with, if you're fucking with us, you fucking with us. If you're not, you stay over there, and that's just kind of how it's been. And now with a lot of this Trump stuff, it's making it really hard to believe that I'm speaking as a black man, and I can say that I'm speaking for black people. I don't care who says I'm disagreeing. If the issue is right now, there's a lot of black men that's like, hey, Trump is cool, but a lot of guys aren't doing their research. Number one. Number two, we don't even vote. We just don't. We don't get out there on the polls because we're not even into the politics. The only thing we think of is, we made some money while he was in office. But they're not thinking about the real things that's going on here. So, that's one thing. The other thing is like we kind of draw a line in the sand where, how can you back a guy that doesn't fuck with us or just and it's no good for y'all, no good for America, and it ain't even a racial thing at that point in my eyes. And it's just, it's kind of weird because I'm looking at friends of mine, a lot of my homeboys, they black and they're Trump. And I'm on the phone. We go back and forth all day. And I'm like, I just can't believe you motherfuckers, man. Like, like Martin Luther King is rolling in his grave right now.
All right, Caleb, what's your input about how politics are affecting our communities? Because after that, give me a couple seconds, then we got to start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what I do the best I can is I'm just a school teacher and a historian. At the end of the day, I don't make really any major decisions, and my whole life is dedicated to my faith. And Philippians 3:20 sums it up: by our citizenship is in heaven, and from it we await a Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. And I do the best I can to pray for this nation. I love this nation. I love each and every one of you all.
Likewise.
Faith to be the driving force, and I'll happily be. I'll allow the big dogs, if you will, to make the decisions for and just back down a bit, and hopefully just through the act of prayer and salvation through my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, this country will find its way like it has in the past.
Okay.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
With that being said, guys, we're at the end of the show. Obviously, we got some more things to talk about because the politics is a current event. So I'm gonna pause this right now and ask you guys if you can to come back next month on our second Tuesday. We'll talk about current events. So we'll talk about this as well as other things going on at the current time and everything. Right now, I call it quits and end the show, guys. We're getting past our time. Real quick, if you guys give a couple of seconds about who you are. Y'all see this as a live time, when they hit that 2 hour mark, we're done. So real quick, give a little bit about where we can contact you guys at. How they can get in contact with you guys. Ashley, you want to go first?
You can try to contact me on Facebook. I mean,
I'm
private. I'm private. I try to, because I'm a teacher, and where I work, I try to.
Do you have any questions or anything? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love having conversations, having open conversations, just like we did. I do. I love it.
Okay, John.
You have your opinion. I have mine.
My name is John Alexander. I'm on Facebook, same name. You can find my company at Dedicated and Dependable Logistics. If you want to reach me, I'm sure you can find a way to get to me, or any speaking engagements or anything like that. Just reach out. Terrence knows how to find me too.
Gotcha. Caleb?
Well, I'm pretty private as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fit by any means. You can always reach me on Messenger. as I'm sure you know, Horn, I live and breathe history. It's my life. It's what I do daily. It's how I reflect it in the classroom, and I also I'm a man of faith. God saved my life, and I'm not ashamed to say that, and by any means of the stretch. So if you ever want to have a conversation about politics, current events, history, religion, I'm always available to talk, and I'm pretty open-minded. I know a lot of people kind of jump to the conclusion that a lot of Republicans aren't easy to talk to, and I get that stereotype, but at the same time, I love this country. I have family that have fought and died for this country that are in active duty to this day. And I'm so thankful that I have the freedom to be able to just come out and talk openly and honestly to my peers. So to be honest, I also want to thank you, Horn, from the bottom of my heart for just letting me have being a guest.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. No problem, guys. No problem. I would love to have you guys on again. But we are at the end of the show. This is Conversations with T-Horne, the Uncool. We're going to continue next week with our Highlighting a Positive Person Tuesday, every third Tuesday. We talk about a lot of good stuff and everything. And the main thing is, no matter what what political party, what culture you follow, we need to have unity. We can talk about stuff and we can agree to disagree. But even if we disagree with each other, once we have understanding, we move forward. I'm T-Horne, the Uncool. Be blessed, be uncool, and go vote. You see, it's important, all right? Y'all be blessed, man. Thank y'all for being on tonight, too.
Yeah.
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, my name coming out must taste good cause you keep it in your mouth. Got something else for you if you go down south. I'm just playing. What the heck you talking about, huh? Why you worry about who I wanna date, huh? Why on the main course on your plate, huh? Why everything concerning me gotta turn to be argument or debate, huh? Is he a Christian religion? Has he forsaken? He just was dating her. How many women he dating? Had another kid? That nigga don't know when to stop. I heard he smoking, getting high. Boy, that fell from the top. See what I learned. This your concern. It's all about me. Y'all gossiping made me look at y'all like female dolls in heat. But let's make something concrete. I'm seasoned, yes indeed. Y'all must like the recipe cause y'all all on my meat. Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, haters try to diss me, they love me, but they dismiss me. Play hard, but acting sissy. They lies be so convincing, and exes get jealous quickly. They won't admit that they miss me. They hate that I moved on, so use my children against me just to keep up the talk. People peep on my wall just to keep tabs on my flaws, just to keep me fall. Doing everything they ask me, but that ain't enough. I'm on everybody's tongue and everybody on my jump. His rap career won't take off. That nigga ain't hard, he really soft. Try to see his page, but I'm blocked. He was living for Jesus, then he stopped. He get girls just to knock him off. He lies the truth ain't what he taught. I be so close to popping off, but then I realize I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh,
my whole life, I lived it based off of other people's opinions. They judge what I do, what I say, how I think, and I judge my whole life based off their interpretations. But now I got to the point where I realize my life is my own, and I'm the only one that can live it. got an opinion, keep it to yourself. I'ma live how I see fit.
I'm the topic of conversations. Yeah, I'm in rotation. Gossip about. Keep my name out their mouth. Oh.